in our previous conversation, you spoke to me about something very interesting that I picked up on, and you said that journaling is something that really, really helped you become more introspective, especially after that series against England, right, in 2016. And you mentioned that you didn't just focus on making those technical changes by hiring a batting coach, but you also started making some non-technical changes, right? What I call them as our non-cognitive capabilities. So let's focus on that a little bit. Let's focus on those non-cognitive capabilities. Tell me a little bit more. What were those non-cognitive capabilities that you worked on, and how did those help you transform your game so that when you came back, you were a very different batsman altogether?
I think when I started playing international cricket in 2013, and then I was in and out from 2014 onwards, had probably my first injury as well, and just the pressures of being dropped or not being selected, of not scoring runs, of trying to improve my game, but I mean, not working. I mean, if things don't work out the way you want them, all of that sort of led me, and then obviously hearing how different sportsmen started looking at mental health, and you always heard this phrase that sports is more a mental challenge than a physical challenge, because at the end of the day, it's a decision-making process. And the more decisions you make, I mean, you have to make a lot of decisions, and the more effective your decisions are, the higher your chances of success are. Again, not guaranteed. So I just thought, what could I do with myself? And I think my parents, we were in the UK at that time. That's the first time we agreed to see a sports psychologist. And I think I eventually saw myself score my first 100 once I had a few sessions with the sports psychologist. But again, I think I wasn't consistent with the process, and I thought that we swept things under the rug, and it was a temporary solution. But if I wanted to if I wanted to be consistent with my performances, I'd also have to be consistent with like I work my physical body, like I work my technical skills. I'll also have to work on the mental side of things. And I think it was after the England series that I really realized that this is something I need to step up. I need to step up my own efforts. So whether I read, what I listen to, the kind of people I'm around, because you have to make sure that your environment is positive, it's supportive, it's not toxic. You look at different things, you analyze yourself, you see what behaviors are being uprooted by different things in your life. And then I saw various people, I seek help from various experts, and I just thought that I set myself in the right trend after that. Again, like journaling is something that when you listen to a lot of good podcasts, a lot of successful people, you read their books, journaling again is one of the examples. So I picked up different things at different times. And I think, again, even at this moment, there are few things that I'm not consistent with, but when I do them consistently over a period of time, they all have their benefits. So it's just amazing that you have this whole field that you can access to. The only thing is being lazy and not giving an effort to that side of thing, not thinking that it's important, because it's not tangible, and it's not directly related to your skill. It's not that you're picking up a bat and learning something, or you're out in the field or learning something, but it is so important. And it's those 1%ers, those intangible things that make a difference between a good and a great player.
Absolutely. That is exactly what this entire series is actually all about, right? Like, pardon me. That's exactly what the series is all about. It's about those non-technical, those non-cognitive skills that you just talked about that are so important, because I think from a technical capability perspective, there's marginal differences between the people who are already up there in the international arena, right? It comes down to something you said, right? You know, the mental aspect, because especially for a batsman, you guys are facing bowlers who are bowling at 90 miles per hour, and you have less than fraction of a second to react and for the brain to make that decision, like how to play that ball and make sure you don't get out and actually score runs. And then there's the scoreboard pressure, right? There's so many things mentally that all those calculations and analysis that are happening right in the brain. And surprisingly, well, now people, athletes are slowly starting to picking up on these things. But before, at least, there was no concept of training the mind, training the brain, and doing things that can actually help you be more strong mentally. Right? So
I think that's why Blink was such an important book. It basically made you accept something related to your profession. And then one of, I hope I'm not spoiling the book for anyone, one of the most important topics was that a baseball coach figured out that scientifically it's virtually impossible that you can spot the ball because the time limit from the release of the ball to the point it gets you is so short, so minute that it's impossible for the human eye to pick it up. So that's where you do your hours of training, you trust your subconscious. But how do you work on that subconscious? You need to exercise that subconscious as well. So, I mean, it just probably, that's why I thought it was such a big revelation. It just made me look into something that I had no idea of.
Right. And you say something really interesting, like, it's a muscle that you got to exercise, right?
Yeah.
And we got to, just like how we treat our physical body, our chest or back or biceps and legs, whatever you train them, you build those muscles. Similarly, brain is a muscle, right? We got to do those exercises for the brain to improve our cognitive and non-cognitive capabilities as well.
Absolutely.
By the way, side question: have you read Outliers of Malcolm Gladwell?
Yeah.
As well?
I've read all his books, and the most recent one, Talking to Strangers.
Yeah, I have not read that one yet.
I'd recommend you getting an audiobook of that because he reads it himself. I don't think the text version would be that fun because the audiobook just makes it so much more interesting.
I'm gonna do that then. That's
really
something I'll do for sure. No, that's a great tip. Thanks, Shan.